What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video, and happy Star Wars Day to everybody, or May the 4th. I'm going to be doing something different. I'm going to be ranking. That's not different. That's the same thing I always do. But I am ranking a different franchise that I've never ranked before on the channel, and that is I am ranking every single live-action Star Wars movie from my least favorite to my favorite. This list is going to ruffle a lot of feathers. By no means am I claiming to have, like, the definitive list. My list is very against the grain. A lot of you are probably going to say my list is completely terrible, and that's okay. That's totally, completely fine. I will definitely take credit in saying that, again, this is a very odd list. It's very different, but it isn't different for the sake of being different. It's just truly how I feel. There's certain ones that I'm not as high on as everybody else is, and there's certain ones that I think are better than other ones that people disagree with. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get right into this ranking. Alrighty, coming in at last place at number 11 has got to be The Last Jedi. This movie is the biggest piece of dog shit I've ever seen in my life. And there's actually a group of people out there that are high on this movie that I just don't get it. I do not understand how anybody could like this movie. This movie is just god-awful. It's not only the worst Star Wars film, but I'm so serious, it could be one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. This movie is so bad. It is so bad on every level. First of all, it completely ruins Luke Skywalker as a character. It completely just dismantles him and rips him apart and reduces him to absolute ash. He's not motivating. He's not happy. He's miserable. And I get these are very human things to have, but you gotta understand, Luke is the one who restored hope to the galaxy and restored balance, right? Luke doesn't just run off and get scared like that. He's the most powerful being in the galaxy. It makes no sense for him to just run off into hiding because he's scared of some kid he was training, who obviously turned out to be Kylo Ren, his nephew or whatever. But it just doesn't make sense. That's not Luke's character. It's out of character. And so he's hiding off like a hermit on some island, and then Rey comes along and begs him to train her. And he's like, "Oh, I'll never train another Jedi again." It's not Luke. It's just not. It makes no sense for Luke to be acting that way. They completely wasted his character just for him to show up at the end in hologram form, which we've never fucking seen before in anything, to fight Kylo Ren. And like, it just makes no sense. And there was no fight because he's not actually there, and God, they ruined Luke in this movie. As for Rey, she's just doing her same old Rey antics. She beats Luke in a fight, which makes no fucking sense. Luke's like 10 times more powerful than she is, or supposed to be. But nope, again, in this trilogy, they just want to automatically make Rey amazing at everything, so. Yeah, I don't. Rey is just as bad as she always is in this movie. My real least favorite part of this movie is gotta be the Finn and Rose arc and dynamic. Oh my god, their journey that they go on in this movie has got to be the most boring fucking thing ever, where Finn, like an absolute coward, tries to abandon the fleet. We've never fucking seen that in all of Star Wars. And you have this guy who literally fought in the war in the first movie, and then all of a sudden he just wants to bail out. Makes no sense. And then they go to this fucking casino boat ship and try to find this master lock artist, or whatever the fuck they call him. It's just so stupid. And then they infiltrate the fucking the First Order base, and it all leads up to a fight between him and Phasma, which is kind of cool. I'll give it that. You know, some praise I can give this movie. The movie looks good. The CGI is good. I think the cinematography is good. You know, it's a good looking movie. Then you have the Rey and Kylo Ren throne fight room scene, which I hate. It's so overrated. You know, it's just so bad. I know you guys have definitely heard this before, but the whole breakdown, there's a whole breakdown on YouTube of how the fucking choreography makes zero sense, and that automatically just takes away everything from it. It reduces that scene to ash. Fucking Kylo Ren kills Snoke like that. Like, how the hell did Snoke not see that coming? And who Snoke would then go on to become is just stupid anyway, but It just makes no sense, you know. He's just so wasted. They just killed him for no reason. They spent this first movie building him up to be some scary menace, just for Kylo Ren to kill him like that and then be reduced to nothing. This movie loves to do that. It loves to take cool ideas and reduce them to ash. So that was fucking useless. Then Kylo Ren becomes the new leader of the First Order, or the new supreme leader. It's just so dumb. It's just so dumb. It is such a bad movie. It takes every good idea that was created in the last one or in this movie and just destroys it. It's a terrible fucking movie. One of the worst movies of all time. At number 10, we have The Phantom Menace. This is episode 1, as you all know. I really do not like this movie, man. There are very few things about this movie I do enjoy. I think the two big ones are Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul. Obviously, they're great. Those are fantastic characters. They are fantastic in this movie. The choreography with the fight scenes are fucking amazing. You know, obviously the Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul fight is one of the craziest fights we've ever seen in Star Wars, right? Fantastic. You know, the way Maul dies, very iconic, or dies. Very iconic. He gets cut in half. He falls down the thing. He kills Qui-Gon. I really love Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon is such a good character. He is the only Jedi who's not as dogmatic as the Emperor likes to say. You know, the Jedis are very strict. They're very strict and straight. They like very many rules. They're like, if you break them, you're done. Qui-Gon wasn't like that. He's more like a normal person. He's more laid back. He's chill. He's not afraid to break the rules. You know, he's just not as dogmatic as the Jedi are. He's a lot more loose. Which I really like about his character. You see it on Tatooine when he cheats at the game, and he tries to do the Jedi mind trick on the guy. He's very loose. He's just not as dogmatic, which I really appreciate about his character. Him and Obi-Wan's relationship is cool. You know, it's cool to see him mentoring a very young Obi-Wan, and then Obi-Wan to take over that role. The Anakin and Padme relationship is really weird. I can't lie. She's like 14 and he's like 9. It's very strange that there's like that flirtatious thing going on. They should have made Padme younger. I understand for the story purposes it wouldn't have worked with her role in the whole story, but it's just weird. It just came off as strange. So that I didn't like. The CGI is absolutely terrible. You know, this trilogy is very well known for having really rough CGI. It just looks like a fucking cartoon, man. Especially when they're on the planet and then it's the droids versus, you know, all the clones, and it's just like, you see the big roly balls coming in, and the grass even looks CGI. The sky looks CGI. It just all looks like one gigantic cartoon. So I really did not like that. The underwater planet is, again, it just looks like a fucking cartoon. Don't even get me started on Jar Jar Binks. We know he's just the most irritating fucking character. Terrible character. You know, we get to see some cool things in here. Like, we get to see certain Jedi powers that we've never seen before, like the super speed. We didn't know Jedis ever had that. We've only seen it in Phantom Menace. We never saw it again. In the beginning, where, you know, they speed off down the hallway or whatever. That was cool. Again, anything with Darth Maul in this movie's fucking sick. Like when he's fighting Qui-Gon right by the ship in the desert on Tatooine. That was really, really cool. So, like, again, this movie has some cool things about it. The final fight on the ship at the end was cool. But overall, it's just a kind of a weird CGI cartoon mess that I really just do not like to go back and revisit. Coming in at number 9, and this is where the hot takes begin. We have Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. I've seen this a few times, and every time I go back and revisit this movie, I am bored. I get so bored watching this movie. Now, don't get me wrong. The story here is very, very good. I love the story that, you know, it's all about the Death Star plans. And Vader and Emperor are trying to get their hands on it, but they're trying to keep it away from them as well. It's perfectly executed, you know. The fact that this young crew, this kind of like ragtag team of characters get together and, you know, to fight back against the Empire. And again, they got to keep these fucking plans away. They got to make sure they do not get their hands on these plans. And it's all because of, I'm forgetting his name. Oh my God. He works on the fucking Death Star. He's the one that created, you know, the way to destroy it, if that makes sense. Which, again, I just love the story. It's a great story. But the problem is the movie drags. It's not paced well, in my opinion. I haven't seen it in a while, I'll admit. It has been quite a few years since I've seen it. But I just remember it not being paced very well. There, you know, there's just certain parts where it just the movie just drags and it gets boring, and there's just kind of like nothing going on, and it just kind of again it just gets boring. But I understand it has to be that way for them to tell the story that they're telling. Anything with Vader in this movie is obviously fucking awesome. The part where he interrogates Krennic is probably my favorite. It's one of my favorite Vader scenes of all time. Obviously, the ending on the ship where he just kills all of them, and he kills all the rebels and gets onto the ship that leads right in episode 4. Some great CGI in this movie with Leia and Tarkin. Leia looked better than Tarkin. Tarkin, you can tell, is CGI. Leia, she looks spot on. To me, she looked fantastic. You couldn't even tell, in my opinion. I love how they, our main crew of characters, I like how they all die. I think that works. It feels very real, and I like how they sacrifice themselves so they can get the plans, and you see the Death Star blowing up the planet they're on. I thought that was cool. Krennic's a great character in this. I have not seen Andor, but I know he shows back up in that. He's a great Inquisitor, or not Inquisitor, sorry. He's like a general, whatever he is. He's great. So he was definitely a great addition to the film. Like I said, CGI looks great. It's a good looking movie. It looks fantastic. It's actually one of the better looking Star Wars films. But yeah, it's just not my favorite by any means. I get bored with it, I'm not as invested in this universe as I am as like DC or Marvel or some of the other things that I like. I still love Star Wars. I know a lot of the lore. I know a lot of the stuff that happens in the books and in the cartoons and stuff. I'm not as invested in it as I am some of the other franchises. So I have a tendency to forget a lot of names and planets and stuff. It's not 1000% my cup of tea. But still, I thought this is definitely a better written movie than a lot of the shit we've gotten from Disney, but it's just not overall my favorite. Next up at number 8, I'm gonna get flamed for this one. We have Return of the Jedi. I really do not like a lot of this movie. I think the entire opening is complete dog shit. I hate it. I do not like the opening one bit. I am not a fan of the Jabba's palace sequence. I really do not like it. I do not like Jabba the Hutt as a character. I think he's ridiculous. Especially in the later releases too, where they add all in his CGI friends and they're all playing the music. It's so fucking stupid. It's like watching a fucking cartoon. I hate it. Even when Luke comes in and he's all mysterious and he's got the hood on or whatever, and then he gets dropped into the Sarlacc, or not the Sarlacc pit, the Rancor pit or whatever. There's just no way he wouldn't have seen that coming. He literally has the Force. He would have sensed it. So that didn't make any fucking sense. Obviously they're there to rescue Han. I just hate it. I hate everything about it. When they get out onto the ship, it starts to get a little better, so some things actually start to happen, and they get into the all-out fight with the guys, and then Boba Fett gets dropped into the Sarlacc pit. So that was a cool fight scene. But man, I really do not like that opening. And then that obviously takes us on to where they get back to the base or whatever, and they devise a plan to get on to Endor, where the generators for the shield for the Death Star are at, so they can disable them and then they can attack the Death Star or whatever. The Endor sequence is I'm kind of like half and half on it. I really hate the what are they called, the Jawas or whatever, the little fucking teddy bear things. I fucking hate them. Oh my god. Again, it's like watching a cartoon, man. It's like, they're so ridiculous. You telling me they got a bunch of little teddy bears to take down the Empire with? It's just so stupid. And that's just George Lucas being George Lucas again. So dumb. The speeder chase on Endor's cool. The space fight is great. I really love the scene on Dagobah with Luke and Yoda, and then obviously Obi-Wan shows up and he talks to Luke, and Luke confronts him. He's like, "Why did you lie to me? Why didn't you tell me?" And he really teaches him about that certain point of view, like he says. And then he finds out Leia is his sister, which is a little weird because considering they share a lip kiss in the fifth one, but it's whatever. And yeah, there's a lot of great aspects, and then obviously the ending, everything on the Death Star at the end is just fucking peak. It's arguably the best the franchise has ever been. My favorite scene in all of Star Wars, or it's at least definitely top three, is when Luke is back on Endor, and he looks out into the distance. He sees Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Yoda. It's such a beautiful scene. I love it, especially with Hayden Christensen being there in like the newer releases. It's just such a beautiful scene. Obviously, Luke and Vader's fight is fucking awesome. And Luke, finally said, "I'm not turning. You will not get me to turn, so you're going to have to kill me." And then Vader obviously steps up, saves the day, and saves Luke's life, and that's the return of the Jedi. It's Vader returning. And you get that beautiful scene where Vader's dying and Luke takes off the helmet. It's perfect. The ending is incredible. But it's just the stuff with I really hate the little teddy bears, and the opening is really bad, and a lot of the stuff on Endor is not great, with them fighting the Empire fighting the teddy bears. It's just ridiculous. There's just no way. That shit really brings this movie down for me. As much as I love the ending, it's just, it's a rough movie to get through for me. Alrighty, coming up at number 7, we have Solo, A Star Wars Story. Now, I'm going to need you guys to bear with me a little bit, because this is the only one I have not seen since it came out. I have not seen this since I saw it in theaters in 2018. I've never went back and rewatched it. But from what I remember of it, I actually enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I thought the cast was good. I thought the actor they got for young Han Solo was perfect. Emilia Clarke as Kira was great. You even got Woody Harrelson in there. Donald Glover as Lando, I thought was really, really good. So a really good cast. Obviously, loved seeing Darth Maul at the end. That's like the big payoff of the movie, is getting to see Darth Maul. You get to see the Kessel Run, which is awesome. You hear about it a lot, but you never see it until then, which was cool. The train sequence when they're on the train, that's a cool sequence. Where he first meets Chewie. That's always a scene that I really, really love. But to be honest, I really don't have any too many major issues with this movie. I think the main reason it's just lower is because it's not really as big of an important of a story. It's kind of lower scale. It's not as big as like, let's say Empire or Revenge or whatever. It's just kind of its own sanctioned off story that's kind of in its own thing, and it's there. It's specifically Han Solo's backstory, and they do, like I said, they do a great job at telling it. It's really cool to see him, how he was as, kind of this younger guy, and he's trying to make his way in the galaxy, and, you find out how he gets the Millennium Falcon. You see the game where he loses it to, when he wins it. And it's cool, it's just its own sanctioned off Solo story, and I love it for that. And, it's a good movie. It was, and it's honestly a shame that we'll never see a sequel to it. Coming in at number 6, we have Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I can already hear the boiling heads and like the hate. I can feel it. I can hear it. I know this one is, typically this is like the most hated Star Wars movie, or it's one of them. I don't hate this movie, man. I don't. I really do not hate this movie. I understand people's issues with it. It definitely has a lot of problems. I think the CGI is probably the worst bit. This movie's probably got the worst CGI in the franchise. It's really bad. Specifically, like certain shots where Obi-Wan is fighting Jango Fett look really bad. When Anakin and Padme are on her home planet and they're playing in the grass and they're on those big fucking creatures, it looks really bad. There's a lot of bad shots, but man, there's so much to love in this movie. I think Hayden Christensen, as much of a whiny pussy as he is in this movie, I always defend him. I think he did exactly what George wanted. I think he nailed it to a T, and I think he did a good job at playing that. He's this whiny, impatient little man baby who hasn't grown up yet and hasn't really accepted, that he has a lot of responsibility. And I think he does a great job portraying that. Obi-Wan, or Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan's 10 times better than he was in the first movie. He's so good in this. He started doing his, his quippy little jokes that he does. in his one-liner, like, that's Obi-Wan, one of the best characters in the franchise. The opening for this movie is fucking fantastic, where they have to guard Padme, and then you realize that she's being hunted down by these assassins, or an assassin, but he's hiring other people to do it. You find out it's Jango Fett, which is really cool, getting to meet Jango, the father of Boba. Really love that. But yeah, the opening chase where they're in the yellow speeder and they're chasing after the alien assassin or whatever, and then they follow him into the bar, and they think it's a girl, but you find out it's just more of an alien creature thing. I love that opening. I thought that was a great opening sequence. It's fun. It's action packed, and the CGI there, I'll admit, didn't look too bad. Obviously, the Jango versus Obi-Wan fight, while I said it does have some really bad CGI at times, still is an awesome, sick fight. Very cool fight for them two to have. And obviously the ending is just incredible. But before I get into the end, I think what this movie does best is, and this is really going to ruffle feathers, I really think they did a good job with the Padme and Anakin love story. I do. To me, it's as bad and as cringy as a lot of the dialogue is. I will admit it is very cringe. And the way they go about it in that way is weird. But I think I like the fact that they just been through this journey together, and that causes them to fall in love. You had to have them to be together this entire movie. It's the only way they would have fallen in love. They had to spend time together and go through shit together. But having said that, I think she should have confessed her love to Anakin after the big battle sequence. I think that would have been the final nail in the coffin for them to have been through a lot of serious shit and trauma together, for that to be the catalyst for her to fall in love with him. And then the ending fight, let's talk about it, dude. It's fucking awesome. It's this gigantic arena war between the clones and the droids. You got Yoda in there. You got fucking Mace Windu fighting Jango Fett. He gets the quick decapitation kill. Which I know people have their complaints about, but dude, he's Mace Windu. What the fuck is Jango Fett gonna do against Mace Windu? I'm sorry, you're not gonna do anything. He's one of the most powerful fucking Force users ever. You're not gonna do anything against him. But yeah, it's just an all-out fucking insane fight, and then obviously that leads into the big chase, and then you get fucking, dude, Obi-Wan and Anakin versus fucking Count Dooku, and that's where you find out that, Anakin really is stronger than Obi-Wan, because he lasts longer against Count Dooku than Obi-Wan does. He's still not ready to fight Count Dooku yet. He's not strong enough yet, but he gets there. And then obviously Yoda shows up. We get to fucking see a Yoda versus Count Dooku fight scene, and we know that history there, dude. Fucking awesome. Do not tell me that's not fucking sick as all hell. And then you obviously have Palpatine lurking in the background. You don't know he's evil yet, but you really are starting to get those suspicions. And then obviously at the end, the Clone Wars begins, man, and that would lead you right into the TV series. I don't care what anyone says. This movie's fucking awesome. I don't get a lot of the hate. I understand with certain things, like issues like dialogue, CGI, some of the stuff between Padme and Anakin's a little cringe. I get that. But to me, that makes up like a tiny bit of the movie, man. To me, this movie is fucking awesome. I really enjoy it. It's always one of my most enjoyable ones to go back and rewatch. I haven't rewatched it in a while. I think I'm going to go back and do it soon. But yeah, man, I don't get the hate. I really don't get it, it's a great movie. I really, really, really enjoy it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. Coming in at number 5, here's another hot take incoming. The Rise of Skywalker. AKA probably the most hated Star Wars movie of all time, which I do not get, by the way. I do not understand how someone could sit there and say that The Rise of Skywalker is worse than The Last Jedi, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, as much as I really do enjoy Attack of the Clones. I can understand why people say Return of the Jedi is better. I can. I get it. People are always going to say it's better. That's fine. I don't get the hate for this movie for the most part. There are certain things I very much so do. Do not get me wrong. I guess we'll start with the dialogue is horrendous. I admit it. It's really fucking bad. I mean, the infamous line of, "Oh, Palpatine returned." Terrible. Just terrible fucking line. Yeah, the dialogue's really bad. I'll give that to you. Like, "I'm the spy. I knew it." Or, "They fly now." Yeah, really corny Disney dialogue. I give it to you. But apart from that, man, I don't have too many issues with this movie. You know, you got Finn being Finn like always. Yeah, right. He's always just gonna be Finn. They just ruined that character. He's had no substance or intrigue since the first one. So, I'm just kind of accepted that that's how he is. You get to find out a little bit more about Poe, even though Poe's pretty fucking annoying in this movie. You get to find out that he was a spice runner, which is essentially a drug dealer in Star Wars. But everybody's, I think, biggest complaint is that they brought Palpatine back, and that kind of ruins Anakin's victory over him kind of at the end and turning on him. I do agree with that. I completely agree. It was stupid to bring back Palpatine. I don't understand why they did it. Snoke should have just been the main bad guy instead of having it be fucking Palpatine controlling Snoke the entire time. I think we all know they brought back Palpatine as a last-ditch effort to fix this fucking trilogy, which they failed at doing. But as frustrating as it is that they did that, I think they had to do with what they did. They got to sleep in the bed that they made. And I think what they did with it was good for bringing Palpatine back, you know? I didn't think they used him in a shitty way. You know, he wasn't in it too much. They kept him hidden in the dark for most of the movie. You know, he's just kind of this evil weirdo lurking over the galaxy, and you feel his presence, whether he's there or he's not. And I think that was cool. But I think the main thing this movie does, and this is why it's better than The Last Jedi, it fixes characters, dude. And it tries its best to fix character relationships. Perfect example, Luke. Again, Luke in The Last Jedi, terrible. Terrible. It's nothing like Luke. But then they redeem that, or they try, with Luke and Rey. He tells her that I was wrong. I was stupid of me to run away. I don't know what I was doing. And you need to go face down Palpatine. You need to face him. And you need to defeat him. And you need to save the galaxy. You are the true Last Jedi. And I was wrong. I was stupid, and it was dumb of me to ever go away into hiding. They tried to fix Luke and fix the mistakes they made in the past. They tried to fix the mistakes with Han Solo that they made in the past, with his ending. Which I actually don't hate his ending and how he ended, but I know a lot of people do. But they try to fix that for people too by having him have a final moment with Ben, even though it makes no fucking sense. It's cool that they tried to do that. And I love that scene where Ben throws the fucking saber and he's done being Kylo Ren and he finally accepts that he's Han Solo's son and he has to go and help Rey. I love that scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars. This a fantastic looking movie. The CGI looks great. The cinematography is very, very good. I love the opening. I know the opening, again, isn't very popular either, but I love it. You see the shot of Kylo Ren's ship kind of jump into frame, and then he's on this planet and he's slaughtering all these people to get this holocron or whatever it's called, to go find Palpatine. And you hear Palpatine in his fortress, and you hear him playing with him with the voices. He does his voice, he does Vader's voice, he does Snoke's voice. I love that opening. It's so good. And Kylo Ren actually feels like Kylo Ren again. That was my biggest problem with Kylo Ren in The Last Jedi, dude. He wasn't Kylo Ren anymore. He was just kind of this generic evil dick, just to be a dick. They finally put the fucking mask back on, and we got the fucking Knights of Ren in there who are awesome for what we did get of them in this movie. And he felt like Kylo Ren again for that short bit of time, It was fun. It was good. And, I just loved this movie, man. I'm not going to lie. This is going to sound stupid, but the time this came out kind of elevated it for me. Fortnite did their collab with The Rise of Skywalker. That was really fun. That definitely added some enjoyment to this movie. Yeah, man, I just really liked this movie. I don't get the hate for it. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as some of the lower ones on this list, especially The Last Jedi. So I don't get it. Coming in at number 4, we have the classic, the original. We have Star Wars: A New Hope. You have to put this one in the top 5. It has to be there. It is what started it all. You have to pay your respects to it. Even if it's maybe not as enjoyable as some of the other ones I named, it's the classic, dude. It is a classic coming-of-age story. You have this farm boy Luke whose life feels pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of the galaxy, who goes on to become this incredibly important and special person who already was, he just didn't know it. And it all happens just by meeting Ben Kenobi, who, again, he already knew, but he didn't know he was Obi-Wan. And, he finds these droids that have the message on it. He's got to go find Ben. And that sets him on his journey, man. And he goes and he meets Han, and they set up these great cast of characters. Han Solo is one of the greatest characters in all of fiction, man. And then obviously you meet Darth Vader, the most iconic villain of all time, probably next to Joker. Like, fucking awesome, dude. It just created a world that is so insanely sick. It's like Marvel and DC before they existed. On the big live action scale, obviously the comics existed, whatever. But it was before they existed in live action, right? And it's just sick. It's fucking incredible what they were able to do and what George Lucas came up with, Darth Vader is a presence. He's fucking scary, And the movie looks great for when it came out because they actually use physical stuff. It's miniatures, It's practical effects. It's not just special and digital, which is really cool. And it's just a special movie, man. It's a special movie. It's a cozy movie. It's not the most action-packed, fun movie of the bunch, but you have to respect what it did and what it created for 100%. Coming in at number 3, we have The Empire Strikes Back. This is like considered one of the greatest movies and greatest sequels ever made, right? You have to give it the movie its flowers, and it's a great movie. It is. There's no getting around it. The entire ending is the most iconic thing ever. The Luke and Vader fight is just insane, and you have a great movie that builds up to that. Yes, the movie does have certain parts I feel like are a little slow. I think I really am not the biggest fan of the part where they fly the Millennium Falcon into the big space worm and they kind of sit it in there, and the fucking ship's giving them a pain in the ass time the entire movie. I wasn't a big fan of that. But man, the first fight on Hoth is incredible with the score is just insane. I love the score on Hoth. It's just a great fucking score. It's incredible. John Williams really did his thing for these movies. Obviously he's the greatest composer of all time, right? And yeah, dude, it's a great movie. And again, it all leads up to a fantastic ending. Luke, I am your father, or sorry, no, I am your father. It's just great, I love that entire ending where Vader really tests Luke, and he really tries to see what he's learned, and Luke impresses him. He is better than he anticipated. Vader did not anticipate Luke being that good, but he still wasn't ready yet to fight Vader, and he loses. They lose the fight. Han gets frozen in carbonite. They get turned on by Lando, who ends up becoming good, but the Empire wins completely. This is where you meet Boba Fett too, one of the most badass bounty hunters ever, dude. Luke training on Dagobah with Yoda, and then Obi-Wan shows up is great, dude. And Yoda really sees that Luke just doesn't have patience, and he's angsty, and he feels like he's ready even though he's not, and he just wants to go out and he wants to get involved, and he can't. He's not ready yet. But Luke goes against orders anyway, and again, he did better than they anticipated, but he lost. He loses his hand, his lightsaber. He wasn't ready to fight Vader, and then again, that leads to the most iconic scene in cinema history. And it's just peak. It's just a peak movie. There's no getting around it. It's absolutely incredible, and you gotta love it. I love it. It's a great movie. Coming in at number 2, though, this is definitely a hot take, and I will admit, my opinion for having it at number 2 is purely based because of nostalgia. But I have The Force Awakens. I love this movie. I've loved it ever since it came out. It truly is a great film. And I know it's very derivative of Episode 4, but I'm sorry, I think it does a lot of things better than Episode 4 does. But I think it does a lot worse as well. But yeah, I have so much nostalgia for this movie. This is the first Star Wars film I ever saw in theaters, and I just remember loving it. I had all the toys and the figures for this, back in 2015 when this came out. And it was just incredible to see this movie on the big scale, man. Or on the big screen, sorry. I do think this is the best looking Star Wars movie, though. I think that the CGI in this movie and the cinematography is gorgeous. I love the opening. The opening shot of the Star Destroyer, coming over the moon, is fucking sick. And you see the little ship shoot out from the side, and then they go onto that planet, and it feels real. This movie has a realistic, feel about it. There's something about you see a lot of more blood than typical. You see real disgusting, horrible genocide. It's awful what you're seeing, but it feels very real. Which is great. It was a breath of fresh air, And again, I know it's very derivative of the Force, A New Hope. It is the same overall basic story. You have Rey, who I think is serviceable in this movie. Again, she is a Mary Sue, though. She just automatically is great at everything. She knows how to fly a plane, use a lightsaber, Wasn't big on that. She didn't really have much of a hero's journey because she was automatically just good at everything. So that was frustrating. Finn in this movie and Poe Dameron are really great. They are the two standouts. They are very, very good in this movie. If they had continued to go in the route that they were going, those two could have ended up being some of the best side characters in Star Wars, but they ruined them. Obviously, you have Han Solo back, which I wasn't a big fan that they kind of just reduced him back to being this space pirate who just kind of rips everybody off. I wasn't. It just kind of went back on his entire arc. It's like, what the hell was the whole point of the first trilogy then? He's just kind of back to what he was before the trilogy. So I wasn't big on that. Definitely wasn't a big fan of that. I love Kylo Ren. I love how he's this kind of just this angsty kid who kind of just wants to be his grandfather so bad, but he's clearly not as strong and not ready yet. And that ultimately ends up becoming his downfall, and then he loses to Rey in the final battle, even though I think he should have won that fight. But dude, but it's like so cool though. Even that end fight is incredible. I love that fight on the First Order base. I thought it was fucking awesome seeing those two go at it. Yeah, it was just sick, General Hux is also really good. He's a really, really good villain in this. Snoke looks intimidating as all hell for the little bits that we do get of him. Love to see that. You get there's so many references to the original trilogy. You get C-3PO back. Leia is great in this movie because she really sucks in The Last Jedi, and she's not good in Rise of Skywalker either. But it's nice having her back. It actually feels like, oh, look who's back. Another one of my favorite action sequences in all of Star Wars is when they're on, I forget what the planet was called, but it's the one with Maz Kanata on it, and they're getting arrested by the First Order, and then the Rebellion shows up, or the Resistance as they call them in this. That is such an awesome scene where that music starts playing, and you see Poe Dameron flying around, and he's destroying all the TIE fighters, man. It's just fucking peak. I love it. It's so good. I love that scene. And then obviously the infamous Han Solo death scene, which I actually particularly liked. I think it was poetic to have him die like that to the hands of his own son. I know people hated it. I liked it, for what it was. But like I said, they tried to mend that in the Rise of Skywalker. They tried to fix it for people. But yeah, this is a great movie. Like I said, it's heavily carried for nostalgia from my point. I just really feel so nostalgic for that movie. Again, I just remember it being in theaters, and it was just an awesome experience. I love it. And I just remember the build up to it, man. The build up was so good. But yeah, I love this. I love this movie. It is my second favorite. But yeah, now let's get on to number one. Alrighty, then coming in at number one, we have Revenge of the Sith, the true best Star Wars movie. I'll argue till the day I die about this. I will die on this hill. This is the best Star Wars movie. Even starting in the opening, it just immediately puts you right into the action. You feel the stakes of the movie immediately. To me, the best part of this movie is obviously Anakin's downfall. It's just his downfall into the dark side. I thought it was perfectly done. I thought Hayden Christensen did a fantastic job, all leading up to him becoming Darth Vader. It's satisfying. It's brilliantly done, and I love it. I think the music in this is the best in the franchise. I love it. I love the music in this movie. Palpatine, Emperor, is just fucking sick in this movie. He truly becomes the Emperor in this. We see how his face gets disfigured from Mace Windu, and then obviously Anakin gets him killed, which is great. It's great stuff. Obviously the fights at the end, Anakin versus Obi-Wan on Mustafar. Then you get Yoda versus Emperor Palpatine. Dude, fucking awesome, dude. It's like the Avengers Endgame of Star Wars. It's sick, awesome. And both the fights are great. The choreography is insane, dude. And the CGI looks actually great. There are some bad bits of dialogue in this movie, I'll admit that. And there are some bad scenes of CGI. But, dude, the entire Order 66 sequence is the best sequence in Star Wars. It just hands down is. You're never going to find a better sequence. It's just so good. The music in it is great. It's crushing. It crushes your heart. Seeing Anakin just do all that horrible shit, like slaughtering the younglings and just burning the temple down, literally. But it's just so good. It's so well written and beautifully done. I love the opening. I think the opening's great. You know, where they're fighting in their starships, and it's, you know, this big gigantic fight. You know, you see the the Star Destroyers, or like the earlier versions of the Star Destroyers. I think they're called the Venators or Venators, which is sick, dude. And it puts you right into the action above Coruscant. It's great, dude. It's awesome, and it looks beautiful. It's gorgeous looking, and it holds up. And then obviously that leads you into the fight between Count Dooku or the rematch really between Count Dooku, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. That just leads into Anakin versus Count Dooku, and finally Anakin kills him. He cuts his hands off and then slices his head off. Awesome. Just such a great way to open it. And you could already from that first scene see the turn is happening, and you can feel it. And then obviously at the end we get to see Vader in the prequels. You know how insane that is to get to finally see Vader in that trilogy, because obviously that's what they were always building up to, right? And I think George Lucas delivered on every front of that movie. It's fucking sick. It's fantastic. And I think they took out a lot of the corny bullshit that was in the first two. And it just works. And to me, it's one of the greatest movies of all time. It's definitely the greatest Star Wars movie of all time. And yeah, man, it'll always be my favorite. So yeah, that is my ranking of all the Star Wars movies. Let me know your ranking in the comments below. If you did enjoy, make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.